Hi everybody, I'm a huge Fire Emblem fan, and because Fire Emblem Echoes comes out next week, I thought I'd share with you my personal history with the franchise. But before I get into that, I just want to say that I watched the Fire Emblem Direct back in February, I believe it was, and we have Fire Emblem Echoes coming out, of course. Then there was that Fire Emblem mobile game, which I'm not really a fan of mobile games, but still it's pretty cool that they did that. Then there was also Fire Emblem Warriors coming to the Switch and the 3DS in the fall. And I was just like, wow, this is going to be a big year for Fire Emblem. Somebody was like, why? Why do you people always question? Why? Ask why, when how was so much more fun. Wait, you ever saw the Spawn movie? Anyway, like a lot of people, I first discovered Fire Emblem, or heard of Fire Emblem through Smash Brothers, or more specifically, Smash Brothers Melee, because, Marth and Roy were secret characters in this. And I remember I really liked Marth, excuse me. I really liked Marth for some reason. I played as him a lot, and I got really good with him. And it started to kind of pique my interest with Fire Emblem. So I had, one time when my brother and I were playing Smash Brothers, and I said something about Fire Emblem, and he said, and my brother had responded, and I think it's kind of like Vandal Hearts, and I was like, really? That sparked my curiosity even more, because Vandal Hearts is one of my favorite games of all time. Of course, years later I found out Fire Emblem is more like Shining Force, if you remember those games. And then the thing was, see, Fire Emblem was very exclusive to Japan throughout the 90s, because some people with these types of games, some call them tactical RPGs, others call them strategy games. Whichever the case may be, RPGs were always extremely popular in Japan, especially throughout the 90s, but not so much elsewhere, which is why Final Fantasies 2, 3, and 5 were never released outside of Japan until about 2006. Sorry, it's allergy season. Then it was, I think it was in 2003, I had heard that Fire Emblem was being released internationally, and then it was, I want to say May of that year, I went to Best Buy to get Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, and it came with this little booklet thing, which showed some Game Boy Advance titles which would be coming out that year. And it was back when, oh, there it is, back when this game was new, or this franchise I should say. But in any case, one of them that got me excited was Fire Emblem. And although this was the 7th title in the series, this particular version, they just called it Fire Emblem. But some people call it Fire Emblem 7. So the game came out in the fall, and ironically I didn't buy it right away, probably because I was in high school at the time. I was playing a lot of RPGs as well as other games. In fact, that year for Christmas, my brother got me Legend of Dragoon, which was a really good game. And, sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice here. Anyway, about 4 months after its release, I got Fire Emblem. Unfortunately, I never beat it, but I did get really far in this game because I played the shit out of this. But it was like a whole new world, I guess you could say to me, or a whole new thing. And there's a couple of interesting aspects of the games that I really enjoy. Like, for example, or that I found kind of interesting. Like, I love the talking, so to speak, where you're on the battlefield, you can talk to somebody else, like a random person or an enemy or something, you can get them to join up with you. I always thought that was awesome. And then there was the feature where basically if somebody dies in battle, they're gone for good, you can never use them again. So I kind of like it in a way because it's more realistic, but at the same time it's a pain in the ass. In future games they kind of changed it up a bit, which I'll get to in a minute. Or, yeah. But yeah, like I said, I played that one so much. It was like, introduced to this whole new world, the awesome music, great cast of characters, like all the Fire Emblem games have that. In 2004 was Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones, which I never played or owned that one, or even rented or anything. That one I've never played. I almost got it on my Wii U Virtual Console, but I never did. And then in 2005, there was Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. And about a year or two later was Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, which, for the Wii. GameCube, Wii. So the reason I'm talking about both of these, I'll get to in a moment. But Path of Radiance, I actually got the strategy guide for. I don't know why. I just kind of did. Yeah. Anyway, with Path of Radiance, this one is unfortunately more rare and expensive for some. I don't know if it's rare. I think it's just overpriced for some reason. If you want to buy it used or something, because that's why I watched a lot of game pickups videos, and people say that they managed to find it for a decent price, which is good. But it is a really good game. Probably one of my favorites in the franchise. Well, both of these two, because that's the thing. Most Fire Emblem games don't really intertwine with each other. They're usually different stories. However, this one, this is the one with Ike, and he's in this one too. But there was this one, and then this is actually a sequel. Radiant Dawn is the sequel to Path of Radiance. It takes place 3 years later. And the thing is, I get water on it. This is the one with Ike in it, as you can kind of see him on there. He, that's his, yeah. Anyway, basically, it's just, even though it's two different games, it's kind of one big, long story, which I'll kind of share with you now, because this, I'd say Radiant Dawn is probably my favorite in the series. Well, since, like I said, it's two games, but it's really just one big, long story. I guess you could think of it like Kill Bill, almost. But, the first one, which there's actually a picture of it in here, I feel like this entry is a little more unique, because, well, here's the continent in the game. This is the only continent in the game. Everything else is, the rest of the world was submerged under water ages ago. But Dan, this country, which is ruled by this guy named Ashnard, he, well, there's actually a trophy of him in Smash Brothers Brawl. He's trying to take over the world, so he invades, like, this country and stuff, and he's also after, like, this medallion, which can, yeah. Anyway, that's what that game is about. So, you know, Ike and companions are, like, pretty much travel across the continent to, recruit allies and stuff to fight up, take up arms against Dan. And that's the story for Path of Radiance, mainly. Then in Radiant Dawn, like I said, it takes place 3 years later, and Ike is jacked in that one, which is why he's looks like that in Smash Brothers 4. You know, that's Ike in Smash Brothers 4. That's his Radiant Dawn look, I guess you could say. But it was just funny because so many people had never like touched the series or anything and said like, "Wow, Ike's been hitting the gym or taking steroids or anything like that." It's just, anyway, so this one, like I said, it takes place 3 years after Path of Radiance, and Dan, because you're in Path of Radiance, spoiler alert, you know, for this, because this is one big long story, in Path of Radiance, you kill Ashnard, so now Dan is without a ruler. So, now Benyon is basically controls Dan, but, well, more preferably it's, more specifically I should say, is the senators are controlling Dan. They have a very tyrannical rule over it, so this young group of warriors called the Dawn Brigade rise up against the senators and the Benyon Empire. Then as the game progresses, you bump into some old friends and stuff, and well, I'll get to that in a minute. See, the thing is, Benyon is actually ruled by, it's mainly ruled by an empress known as Saniki, which I'll see if I can find a picture of her, because I know there's a picture of it here. But she rules the Benyon. However, there are these senators who are supposed to be loyal to her. However, I know I keep saying however. Anyway, the senators who are very two-faced, and they don't really do what she says, and they basically have their own evil intentions that go against her will. So basically, it's like, here she is. That's Saniki right there. I can get it to focus. I don't know, she's like I think she's like 12 or something. But anyway. So obviously the country is almost divided because some are loyal to her while others are loyal to the senators. And as you progress through the game, you find out that the senators are actually behind everything, you know, including the war with Dan that took place in Path of Radiance. And the reason for all this is because they're trying to create, like, chaos and bloodshed to summon this ancient goddess to come and destroy the world. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. But, yeah, and that's kind of the story with Radiant Dawn. This one, Radiant Dawn has such a great story. That's why it's my favorite. And you have to fight her at the Ashura is her name. Or maybe it's Ashera or something. Anyway, you have to fight her at the end, and it's pretty damn hard. But yeah, Radiant Dawn was so good. And in fact, it had such a great cast of characters, like all of them do. You know, everyone from Path of Radiance is in Radiant Dawn, as well as several new characters. And some of the characters are even stronger. For example, probably one of my favorite characters was this picture of him right here, Shinon. He's awesome, but he's an asshole. And you notice, if you're familiar with strategy games, you know what I'm talking about, how the enemy will always go after weaker enemies, like archers, mages, things like that, people with weak defense. Well, in Radiant Dawn, Shinon, who's obviously an archer or a sniper or whatever, in Radiant Dawn, he actually has very high defense, which made him one of my best characters, so I could use him as like a kind of a decoy, you know, because the computer would just like fall for it, like, oh look, he left the archer out, let's go attack him, but surprise, he has high defense. Yeah. Oh shit, what about the other one? But that's the story of Radiant Dawn. Like I said, that's definitely my favorite. And then there was, 2008 was Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon. This was the one with Marth. So this was basically a remake. In fact, Fire Emblem Echoes is actually a remake of Fire Emblem Gaiden, I believe. Sorry, drank too much water now, I'm burping up. But this was another great entry, even though it's like a remake. But yeah, again, a lot of great characters in this. One of the things that Path of Radiance introduced me to was the characters who could turn into animals, which they're in this too. I think they're in a lot of them, but that was the first one that I saw them in. I feel like they had a little more of a unique story in Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. I know, sorry I'm all over the place right now. Fire Emblem games usually kind of the same story, like some prince trying to take over. I mean, yeah. Anyway, but this was another great entry in the series, or remake, whatever. One of the games that made me buy a 3DS, and I'm jumping ahead a few years here, was Fire Emblem Awakening. And this was where a lot of people really started to dive into Fire Emblem. Like, I think this was a first for a lot of people. I saw people saying, like, this was the first one they've ever played. And I'm like, oh, seriously? It's such a great franchise. So many great titles, including these ones. Anyway. I think this one had kind of... Yeah. Anyway. One of the things I liked about this, which other people felt kind of meh, was you can actually marry characters together. And then, let's say there was two characters' names. Actually, no, I'll use for actual characters. Like, there was... I'm drawing a blank here on the characters' names. Anyway, yeah, we'll just make it up. Let's say there's two characters, John and Marcia. So, they get married, and then an opening, or you marry them together, then an alternate level will open up, and basically it's like a gateway to the future or something. You'll find John and Marcia's child. Let's just call him Nick. And Nick will be like a teenager or something, he'll join up with you. I thought that was kind of cool, although some people didn't really like it. The only thing I didn't necessarily like about that is because it took away a lot of characters. Like, if you take a look at the Path of Radiance strategy guide, because Fire Emblem games always have a shitload of characters. Sometimes like 30, maybe even 40. But that one, I feel like Awakening didn't have as many. Partially because, Jesus. Okay. So look at the characters on this page right here. Then all the ones on this page. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the that kind of disappointed me with Awakening. I feel like there was a lack of characters because of the offspring, but still I kind of like the idea of the offspring. And they did the same thing in Fire Emblem Conquest, or Fire Emblem Birthright, or the other one. I bought just the one, and it's like, I don't need to buy two. I picked this one because it was the more, like, darker path. and I really enjoyed it. I like this game. Some people kind of complained that it was censored, which, to my knowledge, the only thing that was censored was that because you could still marry characters and stuff. This game actually had a lot of controversy with it, because that was another thing, was you could actually do same-sex marriages, which plenty of other games do that, and I don't see what the big deal is in general. Because I have plenty of friends who are gay or lesbian or something, so I don't see what the big deal is. Anyway, so that was one. The other thing was, because you could marry couples, again, characters and stuff, there was a mini game where you could pet the characters, or yeah. Which people were, it was taken out of this version, or like the North American version, or international version. And people complain, which I don't really get why, because I don't see how it affects the rest of the game. You know what I mean? But still, I never played Tokyo Mirage. Didn't really catch my interest, but yeah, that's the latest Fire Emblem game I've played. So I'm excited for whatchamacallit. Fire Emblem Echoes, which is coming out next week, and I have a feeling it'll be more like these ones, which I'm glad for that, in a way. Like, I'll miss the marriages and stuff. If they still do that, I don't know, but whatever. That's just my opinion. So, if you guys ever played any of the Fire Emblem games, or are you going to get the new one, let me know in the comment section below. And, sorry, I never have a good outro for these, so I'll just end it with this. Random Mark 3087 or Mark out. I'm out of here, and thanks for watching. Have a nice day.